the canal in this part of London. We could turn the boat around and go to the beginning of the Grand Union Canal, which is in Birmingham. That would take about 2 weeks. So canal travel is very slow. And as I said, this was before the age of the railways. So the boats used to be pulled by horses. Now in 1811 they began to build the Regent's Canal. We're just about to enter the Regent's Canal underneath the Blue Bridge. So the canal ahead of us now connects the Grand Union and all the waterways behind us around the country with the River Thames in East London. So think of it as like a liquid transport system around the country built for industry. All began more than 200 years ago, and the canals have changed. If you look on the left hand side, there's two things to notice. There's the building there, which is the old toll house. So you used to have to pay to make your living on the canal. That's now somebody's home. And also take a look at the pathway on the left hand side. We will see a few people walking up and down along the canal, which is how we use it today. And the pathway there is actually called a tow path because it was built for horses to walk on. The horses used to tow the boats. And we'll be returning to the subject of the horses on the canal. Have no fear, I will return to talk about horses in a few minutes' time. So that's an introduction, the history of people making a living on the canals, and the canals being built for industry, for transport, and as business ventures. And this is how we use the canal today, for trips on an old boat like Jason, and we use them for living on, and we're looking at boats that are built on purpose for people to live on, to use the whole boat as their homes. And indeed people live on these boats we're looking at. You may even see one or two. So these are modern narrowboats. Most of them are narrowboats, not barges or houseboats. I'll give you a sense of what it's like on board. Actually, on board they have fully fitted kitchens that use bottled gas for cooking and for heating water. They've also got coal and wood burners for keeping warm in the winter. And they've got fresh water tanks to keep their showers and toilets and kitchens supplied with fresh water. Comfortable bedrooms, cosy living areas, and they also have an engine. So if you're wondering what that's like, it's all modern comforts on board. It's not quite as romantic as it might seem. You do have to keep yourself very warm, especially when the winter days have not quite disappeared like the day today. But the thing about having an engine on board your home is that you can go on holiday and take your home with you. And that's what many people do. Not all. Most of the boats you see here are actually here the whole time. They just need to travel around to make sure their engines are still working. And they need to sometimes go and get fresh water from what are called pump-out stations. Otherwise they receive electricity from the stands you'll see between the boats at either side. They're plugged into the mains, but when the engine's running, and you can hear our engine running, the engine running means that you're generating your own electricity. So it's a little glimpse at how we use the canals today. We use them as a kind of lifestyle choice. To the history of the canals as we approach one of several changes of scenery, which is really what the trip to Camden is about. Different aspects of London, different changes of scenery, and a glimpse into the past. A glimpse into the past from where you're sitting, which is actually one of the oldest boats still working on the canal. This is Jason. It's a proper working narrowboat. that was built in 1906. So the boat you're sitting in actually used to work transporting oil and tar and coal. And it goes back to the days when the boats on the canals used to be pulled by horses. So this boat used to be pulled by a horse. Eventually it became the original Regent's Canal trip boat. Somebody bought it and put the roof on. By then it already had a diesel engine, which you can hear at the back. So one of the oldest narrow boats on the canal. Now on either side you see the houses disappear because the banks are rising. The canal is actually going through a hill. So in a minute we'll enter a tunnel which takes the canal through a hill. This is quite a long tunnel. It's nearly 250 metres long. And for such a long tunnel, they didn't build a pathway for the horse. If you notice, if you're with me about the story about the horses, there's no pathway for the horse. To get the boat through without the horse, because someone would have taken it over the hill, people needed to actually leg the boat through. And I'll come through with a photograph just to explain that. This is legging the boat through. Manpower to get the boat through the longer tunnels.
That's hard work.
Yeah. And you see they're putting the plank across the boat.